Perhaps one of the greatest survival stories ever written about is the tale of the Endurance and her crew during one of the most epic voyages ever attempted, in one of the most inhospitable places on the planet. On this episode of Never Stop Learning, we will be following along with the Endurance and her crew as they attempt to be the first to cross Antarctica. Built in Norway in 1912, the Endurance was designed for hunting expeditions in the Arctic. Her sturdy hull, reinforced to withstand punishing ice, made her ideal for polar exploration. At just 144 feet in length, she had both steam and sail capabilities that could propel her to a speed of 10 knots. Explorer Ernest Shackleton purchased and refitted her specifically for his ambitious Antarctic expedition. His goal was to cross the Antarctic continent from coast to coast. On August 6, 1914, Endurance departed from Plymouth, sailing first to Argentina, then South Georgia, before finally reaching Antarctic waters in January of 1915. A treacherous journey for a ship with only 28 men aboard. But the ice was starting to slow her down, and before long, the ship was completely stuck. She was now officially trapped in the ice. Not a huge worry, as most ships just free themselves over time when the ice naturally breaks apart. But the ice didn't break up. The hopes of drifting with the ice were dashed, and Shackleton ordered the engine shut down to conserve fuel. As the weeks passed, it was found that the ice and the ship were indeed slowly moving, but nothing significant. Breaks in the ice came and went, but none was sufficient for the ship to break free and move on. All they could do was sit and wait. The slow crushing of the Endurance took until October of 1915, when ice formed around the vessel, then released her, before taking a strong grip of the ship once more. The strength of the ice against the ship bent large timbers like they were rubber. The sounds of the groaning and creaking becoming ever louder as the timbers finally began to fall apart, allowing water into the lower decks. Despite the pumps working hard, Shackleton ordered all supplies and lifeboats moved onto the ice as the situation on board became ever more desperate. On October 25th, 1915, the vessel was once again hit by a large amount of pressure buildup that finally buckled the hull. The ship was well and truly sinking, but at such a slow pace that the men could go back and forth on board to retrieve things required to survive on the ice. If you've enjoyed this episode so far, please give it a like and subscribe to check out all of our other maritime disasters. The next 4 weeks saw the ship slowly sinking a little bit more each day. The riggings and mast were collapsing, and the groans of the ship being bent were heard by everyone there. Finally, on the afternoon of November 21st, she made a final lurch and was engulfed in the ice for the last time. The demise of the ship was captured on film over the final few weeks by the expedition's photographer, whose images later became world famous. Now the Endurance expedition had to face a new dilemma. They were at the bottom of the world, stranded in the most desolate location anyone could dream of. How were they going to get out of this? Shackleton's plan was to camp on the ice and drift with the pack towards an island where he knew some stores of supplies were being kept. But after several months of drifting, the ice began to break up and the men were forced to take to the lifeboats and head for the nearest landmass via the sea. After 5 days at sea, 3 small boats arrived at Elephant Island, nearly 350 miles from where the ship had sunk 5 months prior. This island was solid ground beneath their feet, but it was still uninhabited and there was no chance of ever being rescued there. So Shackleton made the decision to plan a journey by using just one of the lifeboats, a 20-foot long lifeboat he named James Caird. along with 5 men whom he considered vital to the success of this epic journey. On April 24th, 1916, the boat sailed for South Georgia with enough supplies on board to last 4 weeks, and hopefully enough to make the 720-mile journey without any major problems. The crew of 6 battled strong waves over the next 2 weeks until they finally came upon their destination. It took them another day before they were able to reach land safely, only to discover that they had landed on the wrong side of the island. This forced them to set up camp once again and plan the last leg of the journey over land. Leaving 3 of the team behind, Shackleton and 2 others slowly made their way across 32 miles of mountainous terrain, which took them 36 hours. Cold, hungry, and exhausted, Shackleton finally arrived at the whaling station on May 20th, 1916. The news of Shackleton's survival sent shockwaves around the globe. Rescue missions quickly retrieved the remaining men, 3 from the far side of South Georgia, and incredibly all 22 stranded on Elephant Island were found alive. Remarkably, all 28 crew members survived. This extraordinary ordeal will go down in history as the ultimate tale of human resilience. Returning to Britain, Shackleton discovered World War I was still raging, which prompted him to join the effort in May of 1917. Never deterred, Shackleton returned to Antarctic exploration aboard the Quest in 1921. Tragically, on January 5th, 1922, he suffered a fatal heart attack at South Georgia, where he remains buried near the whaling station that once saved his life. In 2022, over a century after her sinking, the Endurance was discovered perfectly preserved beneath the Arctic ice. A haunting, yet inspiring relic of courage and determination. Thanks for watching this episode of Never Stop Learning. If you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And if you have a ship or maritime disaster you'd like me to check out, let me know in the comments below. Also, what do you think? Could you have survived Shackleton's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time.